And sound is speeding, Gabriel.
So, I want to cut to the chase.
What?
I want to cut to the chase.
You want to cut to the chase, huh? No chit chat tonight.
No chit-chat.
I don't like how my hair's like Albert Einsteining here. I don't like that.
Why not? Albert Einstein was literally like
Legend.
more than legend. I'm pretty sure they called him the smartest bitch in the West.
They called him that?
They called him that.
Nice. All right, well, we got to do something real quick.
Real quick, you ready for it?
Ready again. 3, 2. I love that. Look how perfect that line is.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Anything though we want to update? We're drinking beers tonight.
We're currently
Tonight
sponsored by
Nothing.
Corona
Well, it
Extra.
says Corona, you can see it.
Toast, baby.
Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Toast to
Yeah, we had a little-
existential horror.
Yeah, I had a little beer with Ben at All Seasons.
Yeah?
So I was like,
You went to
know,
All Seasons?
Yeah, that's where I was just now.
I love All Seasons.
It's nice. It's very much like an industry hang.
I should just go there and chat people up, huh?
I mean, if you're good at chatting random people up, yeah, it's totally like an industry hang. It's like because I think people are coming from like West Hollywood.
Yeah.
From the offices over there and stuff. So good spot to meet people for like drinks in the when you're doing a little industry stuff.
So, anything exciting you want to share with the audience, or is it all under wraps?
Working on the short, Encounter on the Street.
Oh.
I
How are we doing on that third cut?
Fourth cut, actually.
Holy shit.
Fine. We just need to get it done before.
We really need
before
to
we
talk
hand
to
it off
Al.
to. Yeah. Anyway, we're like having we got to sort this out off pod, but yeah. So that's going well. I'm very excited for people to see that.
Nice.
Very excited about a script that I'm working on. That we'll see. Writer's strike. Well, writer's strike is gonna interfere with that script making it anywhere for like the month of May.
You really think so?
We'll see, right? We'll see. I don't know. Maybe the writer's strike doesn't happen. It does. Well, that's only if the negotiations go through before May.
Yeah, everything points it's happening. Now,
it's funny though. Like, do we get any updates on like what those what's happening in those talks? I don't think we do. Like, we don't get any update like how they're going, for instance.
I mean, we hear on Deadline, but that's about it. The trades.
Does Deadline post stuff like that?
No, as much as I do is I'll check the trades every couple of days to see what's new. And unfortunately, like, the reality is there's really nothing more. You're right, Dal. There's really nothing more new than like negotiations are progressing further than we expected, but we're not sure.
Right, it's vague shit.
Yeah, it's very vague.
They
also say vague shit like, yeah, all the points that we were hoping to cover, we've got through the most of them, but it might take a little bit longer.
I would just be so curious I'd be curious and also not curious. Like, it's nice that there are people who like are writers that like are like, I volunteer as to represent everyone at these boring ass.
And the unions, they vote up for people for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like those people, like that's not. I bet it's like pulling teeth. I'm sure it's like fucking, like going through the contract and. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
It's days and days of this, right?
Yeah, but that's what they have to do.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think that must be like pulling teeth.
Yeah, and I don't even think they're at that yet.
Well, that's what I'm curious about.
Like, imagine drafting up a script, right? You have to do the outline first.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Like, do they sit down and then talk through major points, and then they go to the? I don't know.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say, yeah.
Well, they also have to write. Something has to be written out.
Yeah.
By presumably lawyers.
And
both parties have to agree to it and sign off and all these things.
I think that's fair.
Wild. Anyway.
But yeah, I imagine like they're not even through first draft. Like, I have a feeling they're just talking. They're still just in talks.
It's crazy.
It's kind of like.
But there's a deadline, though.
I mean, is there a deadline?
May 1st.
There's a deadline in so much as like, this is when our prior negotiations are done. But like.
Well,
they
that's
can
what I'm
go
saying,
as far
like,
as they want.
Could the writer's strike start on May 1st?
I think it will start on May 1st if the new negotiations are not complete. That's the point.
Yes.
I think, if I'm correct, they authorized like a 97% approval in the Writers Guild.
They approved the striking.
Yeah. So my understanding is they're working on negotiations. They're pushing for, renegotiating residuals regarding streaming. I guess the amount of writers per...
Mini rooms and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
mini rooms, the amount of writers per show, how many scripts each writer is responsible for per season. I don't know if the writers have the kind of leverage to dictate how many episodes per season, if that's a thing. I don't know.
I think they 1,000% do.
You do?
Because
isn't that the whole problem, is that
they do, in the sense that, like, oh yeah, you want more episodes? Okay, we'll pay us more money.
Yeah,
you know
but the
saying?
shows are getting... I guess what I'm getting at is shows are getting shorter over time, not because they choose to, but because the producers...
As I said that, I realized, yes, that's a network studio...
Yeah, it's out of their control.
Producer choice.
Yeah.
We're doing 12 episodes, not 24.
So that might be just another way to restructure the finances, that it's not just based off episode, but it's based off season or something like that, or pages. I don't know.
I'd be very curious.
Yeah, I have no idea about this stuff.
What goes into this.
But it is fascinating, being finally kind of like adults reading through like what's happening. You're finally out of school. I'm finally living out here.
Yeah. Right. We feel, I suppose, privy to it in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least like we should be privy to it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because it affects everything. And I hear that the Directors Guild will be having negotiations on the tail of the Writers Guild. And I don't know if that means that... and I think we spoke about this the other day. I don't know if that means that they're happening at the same time, within a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Or if the writers need to complete their negotiations before the directors can start up. I have no idea. But they'll affect each other.
Huh.
Because if the writers can pull off compromises on behalf of the Motion Picture Association of America, and if they can pull it off with other companies, the other guilds will see the weakness and they'll jump on it as well. So that's why I think so much is riding on this writer's strike, is because if an inch is given, every guild is going to jump at it. But something has to break.
Sure.
Because the writers are really getting... They're not even getting the shit under the stick. They're just getting, like, the sloppy shit on the floor at this point,
Yeah.
You like that, Dill?
No, listen, sounds good to me. Sounds like, it's all stuff that will benefit me in the future. So, sounds good. I'm here for it. Keep doing your thing, Writers Guild representatives.
Keep it up, boys and girls.
One of the AFI writing faculty was like one of the guild representatives. I think it was...
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to get it wrong, so I can't remember if it was which of the two professors I'm thinking of was, but yeah, he was both they were one of them was a guild representative.
Huh.
So probably in those negotiations.
So for those of you who are still listening after 8 minutes and 50 seconds of talking
riveting.
about...
No, people love this.
I just think this is why they come onto the pod.
They want to hear about this. Our
This is
sort
important.
of mediocre reporting about something we know nothing about.
Is it reporting or is it just...
It's reporting. We're journalists.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Addicts Podcast. I'm Gabe.
I'm Colin Dale. We both graduated with journalism degrees.
Yep, this is a
here
live
with credentials.
broadcast.
Journalism, what's dead? Dead?
What is journalism?
Sort of dead, isn't it?
You're talking about like professional news personalities? Is that what you're talking about?
Don Lemon and such?
I've never heard of journalism before. Where do you get your news? I get mine on Instagram and YouTube.
I listen to NPR, admittedly. So I
You
listen
do
to
not.
Journalists. Yeah. I listen to Up First
All right.
every day.
That's
pretty
pretty
much
good.
every day.
It's nice if you want to be brainwashed.
So those are real. I would consider those people like some of the last real
Yeah.
journalists. Like they actually, and they have their biases and what have you, but they're following our code of ethics. And
I hear NPR is good. I've heard it. I've listened to a little bit of it, but
they're following a code of ethics, and they are actually doing real journalism as it's sort of defined.
Yeah.
So that's why it's the only place I go for news. Otherwise, I sort of just think everything else is sort of horse shit, and I don't really.
Yeah.
Fox,
CNN, MSNBC.
Yeah, I mean those things aren't worth.
I think they're trustworthy, all of them, equally.
Extremely.
Besides YouTube and Instagram.
Extremely.
That's what I watch.
And random tweets on Twitter.
And BBC.
I was watching, interestingly, I know we're going to get into our movie because we don't have that much time tonight.
Yeah, we
have things to get to. Very important things. I was watching the...
You know what? Actually, this does bring up a good point in regards to the film.
Sure.
Because, you could say the perception of reality is influenced by the news we have access to and those that share the news. And the film that we saw this week was very much about perception of reality.
Yeah, so we're talking Beau is Afraid this week.
Yeah.
What is Beau afraid of? Everything.
Literally.
No, but I think you're making an interesting point, is that this is a world of distorted reality.
Mm.
And by the way, very interestingly, speaking of the news, there's sort of an interesting very subjective take on the news in this movie. The news is sort of presented as this absurd.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the murder. People say like in LA, like local news is like the murder hour. It's like that on steroids.
Yes, 1000%.
Like literally, birthday boy stab man, and there's an actual character in this movie named Birthday Boy Stab Man.
It's terrifying.
Which, by the way, shout out to that actor. Like that must have been a great
to be
job.
cast as Birthday Boy Stab Man.
Because it's and be
get
credited
paid,
as Birthday Boy Stab.
And get paid like $1,000 a day for that. Yes, please.
I want to see. I'm actually gonna look. I'm gonna look just for my own shits and gigs, like who is played Birthday Boy Stab Man. This is a real character. You know what's interesting, Gabe? I want to
go ahead, Dale.
Pick your brain about this. Where's Birthday Boy Stab?
Dalebert. It's probably further down on the billing.
He doesn't get top billing? What the fuck?
I thought he was second on the call sheet.
Was Bill Hader also the UPS guy on the phone? Do you know?
Most likely.
I swear to God, there was a guy on the phone, and then there was Bill Hader. Like, there were two different... Birthday Boy Stab Man is... He's actually credited as that. Played by Bradley Fisher.
Bradley Fisher.
Who has... he's a... I mean, he's like just
he's in Westworld.
Actor. Yeah, he's in Westworld
for a couple seasons.
7
he must
episodes.
Have played a series, I guess, a recurring
he plays
guest.
The Mariposa bartender. So that's clearly a speaking role, it seems like, for 7 episodes.
It's a recurring guest star, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice. Shout out to
nice
Bradley Fisher.
Payday. Good for him.
Birthday Boy Stab Man.
Birthday Boy Stab Man.
Pardon me, I like burping here. Yeah, I mean, so we're talking Beau is Afraid, written and directed by Ari Aster.
Yeah.
Produced and distributed by A24.
That's right. It's wild to think after all these years, 10 years since, like, probably 15 now, since A24 has really taken off, since, like, Moonlight and all that.
Yeah.
That, like, you see A24, and you're not like, it's just Universal, it's just Warner Brothers.
No, it's A24, bitch.
Yeah.
Bitch?
Yeah.
Move over. No, I
mean,
there's
like a
some of
theme
my
park.
favorite films that come
There's a
out.
theme park for A24. You get a ticket.
I wonder if they think about... I just wonder if it's something that they... probably, right?
I don't know. Like, a theme park's an antiquated concept. You know?
Spielbergian concept.
Earlier than that. Disney was coming up with that shit in the 50s.
But I think Spielberg took it to, like, the next... Spielberg basically made movies that were theme park rides. One of the first... I'm telling you, one of the first directors to do that. I'm telling you, dog.
No. I'm just a little confused by that.
No, the theme park obviously predates Spielberg, but Spielberg took the concept of a theme park, made movies that were basically theme park rides, and then they made theme parks and theme park rides out of the movies that were basically theme park rides.
Yeah, but what about, like, Walt Disney doing the movie Snow White in 1938 and then having a Snow White ride? He took blockbuster live action films.
I'm sort of
that.
So that's different. I hear what you're saying. That's
Yeah.
different than what I guess I'm thinking. Like Jurassic Park, I'm thinking action, explosions, dinosaurs, people getting eaten. Snow White is not.
Interesting, because
So
sometimes
you're
you
right,
say
there
that
was the
Spielberg is
original-
the downfall of modern cinema.
I've
But
never.
now you're saying
whoa,
he's
whoa,
the.
whoa, 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 whoa,
Now
whoa,
you're
whoa,
saying
whoa,
that he's
whoa.
like the
Never
crescendo
said that.
of theme parks.
We're gonna cut that.
For the
Cut
record,
that.
Colin thinks Steven Spielberg.
I've never, Steve. Never have I ever, or would I ever say such a thing?
Yeah, you think so?
I love Spielberg.
I'm pretty sure I have
Who
you
doesn't?
on recording on this podcast.
No, you have me a
saying-
wiretap of me saying this. I'm on the phone. I'm like, are there clicks on the other line? Gabe, hang up.
I could have swore I've heard you say something to the effect
This is
of
bullshit, but okay, sure.
all of these modern day franchises that are getting out of hand. All of these.
Okay.
All
Spielberg.
of these overdoing of CGI.
Spielberg was the maybe antecedent is the right word. Spielberg was the antecedent.
Advent?
I actually think I'm using antecedent correctly. He was the antecedent to that.
Oh, I wasn't
thing,
correcting you.
yes.
I was offering a different word.
But Spielberg was the antecedent to that phenomenon.
Interesting.
Phenomena.
So you did say something like that.
I'm not blaming him for it. I think it's like that's just how the business works. It's not Steve Spielberg's fault. Like, for example, I'm driving home from getting a drink with this guy at All Seasons, and I see a billboard for this some show, Something X, and it sounds like it's like White Lotus on Hulu.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how the business works. People go, oh, White Lotus, people love that. Can
Let's
we do
make
that?
one. Yeah.
That's how the fucking thing works. So I'm not blaming Steve Spielberg for that.
All right.
Steve, I would never. I'd love to come to your house. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Beau's Afraid, written and directed by Ari Aster.
Yeah.
This is a divisive one.
Yeah.
Divisive on a lot of levels. So for context for people, we saw it. We actually saw it a week in advance. I didn't even fucking realize that.
Did we?
Yeah, it's coming out tonight/tomorrow.
No, it's not.
Yes.
What?
It was only released in 4 theaters last week. That's what we saw. So it was basically released in like 4 theaters in LA and New York. So we went to Century City.
That's why we couldn't find. Oh, man, this
That's
game
why it
is
wasn't-
up. That's probably why. That is probably why I couldn't find it on any other theaters online.
Yes. So I didn't realize that, but we basically saw it a week in advance, sort of. And so it did quite well in those 4 theaters.
Nice.
Money wise. It raked in.
Do they count that as opening weekend? They can't.
No,
right?
they don't count it. It's like a. They count it as like a pre-release thing, but like numbers. But they average it out. It's like how much did it gross per theater that it was
Do you
released
think
in?
they would cut the film differently based on reception?
No, there wouldn't be enough time.
I mean, they do crazy shit.
That
in a
would
week,
happen
don't
if it
they?
screened at a festival and the director or the producers or what have you wanted to recut it after the festival. That would definitely not happen after. Might happen after test screenings too, but
Okay.
I don't think not between. That would be nuts, and probably something that would be possible, especially in like the near future,
Yeah.
like on short notice. The problem is you have to press the DCPs, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like physically press. There will probably come some time where it's fully. The film is like fully non-material, and so maybe it'd be much easier at that point in time to like.
How long does pressing a DCP take?
It's funny, I don't really know because I've only paid for someone else to do it for me. So
Okay.
not super long, but like it takes time.
Okay. So we saw the film early.
Yeah.
And Dale, it was your
We saw the film early.
It was your least favorite Ari Aster film, right?
No, probably my favorite Ari Aster film.
Damn.
Yeah.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
What?
It's definitely the most
Okay.
not favorite Ari Aster film
Of
for
yours.
me. Yeah. Although
Well, you
granted,
haven't
I
seen
still haven't
Midsummer,
seen
though.
Midsummer.
So you've seen 2/3 of the filmography.
But now that I've seen these two, I'm just like, I don't know.
Okay.
How does he have
Beau's
bangers
Afraid.
like this coming out? He's made other stuff before, hasn't he?
He's made like shorts and stuff.
Wild. And then he just did Midsummer and it like took off.
Yeah, he did a bunch of shorts though.
Dale, we got to keep making shorts.
No, we gotta keep making. Listen, He understood the value of shorts. And all right, so Beau was afraid. The log line here is following the sudden death of his mother. A mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic, Kafka-esque odyssey home.
What does Kafka-esque mean? Because Kafka
Like
sounds
Franz
familiar.
Kafka, the writer.
Yeah. What is that?
It's like
Existential. What is Kafka?
I think it's like absurd,
Okay.
existential. I haven't read anything, but from what I understand, secondhand.
Oh no, I've read about Kafka. Kafka, if I'm correct,
There's some thing
If
called
I'm
The Moth or
correct,
something like that.
yes, Kafka is a lot of the work he does explores the modern man and his value in the cog of capitalism. Which, if that's true, if what I'm saying is true relating to this film, super fascinating because like Beau is just under the thumb of everybody and doesn't even realize it. At all times, he's trying to make decisions for himself, but at the same time, he can't because everybody else is doing things that are influencing his life.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me for this movie thematically.
Yeah, and that whole existential crisis of like, can you ever break free from it? Is anything free will?
And his mother, that's actually really wild because his mother is a total representation of that.
Absolutely.
Because she runs a super business, as it's deemed in the movie.
Not only that, but she is so manipulative to him as an individual and as a child.
And he's a part of her enterprise.
Yes.
You remember, like, the disturbing spoiler. So our spoiler train is leaving the station right now. There's a reveal, huge reveal in this movie that I liked how it was presented. With some amount of subtlety and not like
It's very subtle.
Not like beating you over the head with it.
Yeah.
There's an implication that
Also
he is
'cause it
the
happens so late
he is
in
the
the film.
guinea pig for all of these pharmaceuticals that his mother's company produces. That's the implication. Very dark implication toward the end of this movie, which explains why he's so he's basically like he's called anxiety ridden.
If you opened
He's called anxiety ridden the logline. That's a gross understatement.
If you open the DSM-4, he would have something on every single page of that book.
No, he's completely fucked up. Like
poor man.
Sort of he's psychotic. He's schizophrenic.
This poor man in his late 40s, 50s looks like he's in his 70s, even though his mother's still alive and clearly like a boss-ass bitch, like running one of the largest companies in the world. And yet, it's just wild how old he looks, because he's just been so, I don't know, aged by the stress that is, you could say, pharmaceutically induced, social pressures within the family, personally induced by like the way his brain speaks to itself, It's crazy. Am I crazy? He looks like way older than he should be.
No, I think that's
right?
like how the character's meant to look. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. It's just crazy how Joaquin, still at his age, is able to fluctuate between weights and appearances. And in this movie, Joaquin Phoenix looks, he's overweight. He has like awful hair, sort of thinning hair. He looks really exhausted, just terribly out of shape, sort of worn down.
I really have to watch Joaquin in Walk the Line because he's an incredible actor and I love to watch him.
Greats.
But there's something about his work that I just always know it's Joaquin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when I watch Daniel Day-Lewis, I know that I'm just as excited about the performance, but I can tell that there's an aspect of chameleon that's happening.
Yeah.
The same kind of happens with who else? I had another actor in mind, but I can't put my finger on it. Devil Wears Prada. She's done so much other stuff, but it's just the first thing that popped into my
Anne
head.
Hathaway.
The other.
Meryl Streep.
Thank you. Yeah, Meryl Streep, like, inevitably... You know what it is? Anytime that I see Joaquin Phoenix, I guess it's just always, like, a juicy drama film. I don't see him in too many comedies. Like, Inherent Vice is the funniest thing I saw him in, and that was an offbeat comedy at best.
Yeah.
Was Come On kind of funny?
Come On had some humor to it.
What do you think about everything I just said?
No, I think it adds up.
Like, his intensity is incredible, but it just still always feels like him, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I'd be happy my career was
I
able
sort
to
of
do
disagree, because I almost, like, it's funny, like, talking about this movie, I almost forget that he's in it.
Huh.
I think more about the character than I do the actor. So I suppose
Cool.
I disagree. What you're saying adds up. I understand it. But I do think, for me, Joaquin, I think what you're saying would be truer about, like, Leonardo DiCaprio. As much as Leo's probably my favorite actor. But Leonardo DiCaprio, it's hard to forget that it's him doing the role.
Okay.
You always sort of I always think, oh, that was a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I could almost forget as I'm talking about this movie. It's possible in my opinion that we could have talked about the whole movie and never mentioned Joaquin.
Gary Oldman was the other actor I was thinking of.
Great actor. But you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
We could have talked about this movie for an hour and never mentioned Joaquin. Because I do think he's a more chameleonic than like someone like Leonardo DiCaprio. Nonetheless, like a full blown movie star.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the last movie stars for sure.
Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah. One of the last, like, old school... He's part of that, like, dying sort of breed.
I'm not looking to disagree with you. I know what you're saying.
He's part of, like, a dying breed, right? I don't know, like...
When I think of movie stars, I think of, like, DiCaprio, Tom Cruise. Joaquin Phoenix is...
Joaquin does he not count in that category?
For me, I don't think of him as a movie star. I think of him as, like, I think of him... Maybe this is... I almost think of him as more like a Sir, that Shakespearean actor from back in the day. Olivier, Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
I see him. Laurence Olivier, if I'm correct, was not a movie star in the slightest. He was just an actor. Ian McKellen, you know.
Joaquin. I get what you're
saying. What I'm saying?
Joaquin doesn't play like the movie star role, so to speak.
But he is always, in some ways, a cut above the movie star. You know,
as an actor, yeah.
As an actor, yeah.
He's like the actor that like some movie stars even wish they could be that good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the charisma or like the public persona of a movie star. But he's got the chops.
Also not traditionally handsome in the way that like someone or good looking that.
Sure.
Like still a good looking guy.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like,
dude, he's got great eyes. Those eyes.
I mean, I think he's like, Come On is a great example. It's like, I would say he single-handedly, maybe this is a stretch, I would say that he single-handedly gets movies made that otherwise might not get made.
I love that. And that's what we need. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, no, I that's a very, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You're going to do that, man.
Let's go, son.
Good, baby. But I think, like, Come On. I'm watching that movie. I'm going, I don't think this movie works without this guy. Like, Do you
think Beau is Afraid works with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, and I'm like, who else could do this as well as he's doing it?
Yeah.
I'm even thinking about, like, who would play a role like this. I'm like, maybe Paul Dano, but Paul Dano's too young to play this role.
He is too young. No, I could see Paul Dano
Paul Dano's
doing it.
How old, though?
He ages up pretty well.
Paul Dano is...
He's in his... I think he's 40, 41 now.
I think he's younger than that. Yeah,
maybe he's 37. I just remember looking him up in Fablemans, and he was older than I expected.
He's 38.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought. He's like not even quite 40. Yeah, I mean this role requires an actor in his 50s.
Who else could have done this?
I mean, you have to wonder if like Leo got this script. What?
I wouldn't want to see Leo.
But that's what I'm saying. But like Leo being Leo, like did he? These are the kind of things I'd be so curious about. Like, did this script? Did
Ari
it find its
Aster
way to
ever?
him?
Yeah.
You would think that it probably did, because there's like, from what I understand, like Leo just gets offered like all this shit, like.
Yeah, because he can do anything.
Right. And I think Leo in something like this would be really interesting. The problem is Leo doesn't really Leo does period stuff. He likes to do stuff based on real people.
Yeah.
If he does something that's not based on a real person, it has to be a director that he is really aligned with creatively. Seemingly. So it's like all these criteria that I don't know if it hits.
Yeah.
I think Leo in this would be interesting. It doesn't matter, right? It's like Joaquin. The point is, I'm watching it and like, it's like the few actors. It's like who could really pull this off.
Yeah.
It's a tough ask. And so I guess we should get into what the ask. We're talking about like the movie abstractly.
Yeah, for sure.
We should get into like what is this movie?
Ari Aster calls the movie a Jewish Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he also called it. What was the other thing he said that I really liked? He's like, if you gave a 10-year-old, if you like pumped them full of Zoloft and asked them to get your groceries or something, which sort of didn't make sense, but I understood what he meant.
Hold the mic, please.
Whoa. All right. 30. All right, we're back. Getting some beer on my lips. Movie Addicts Podcast. Yeah, so this movie is, Ari Aster deemed it a Jewish Lord of the Rings. I don't really know what that means. However,
well, let's
do you want to like unpack that?
Yeah, let's reverse engineer it, as they say.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings, meaning a epic fantasy.
Yes.
That maybe revolves around the stakes of the world falling onto an individual, maybe that's it, something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody has to leave their home to go on a journey.
Okay.
In order to become or understand a fuller version of themselves. Now, the positive would be side of the Lord of the Rings would be to understand a better version of themselves, but I say a fuller version of themselves because Ari Aster really leads into a much more darker depiction of the revelation of oneself in this.
Yes.
In this project. The Jewish component, I would say, is maybe, and again, I was not raised Jewish, but, from the little bit that I've read and the friends and maybe even some just like pop cultural mentions and whatnot. They cast Nathan Lane and Patti LuPone in this, who are huge Broadway stars. I think they're both Jewish. I think Nathan Lane is Jewish. So Ari Aster himself is Jewish.
Yeah.
Is Joaquin Phoenix Jewish?
I don't think so.
I don't know. And so he's kind of built his whole world, potentially around this like internal family struggle, perhaps. Maybe
but
there's something specifically in Jewish.
There's like a cultural or ethnic specificity to it.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe an overbearing mother.
I would say particularly the maternal element.
Yeah.
So that's what I know that's kind of the reviews coming back for this movie have been really revolving around that maternal Jewish mother element of the anxiety-driven Jewish mother sort of guilt-tripping their children or her children.
Yeah, falling short of expectations.
Yeah. And so that's a huge part of this movie that is alluded to.
Arguably central part of this movie.
Super central.
Literally opening and closing frames, right?
It's all, yes. And even off screen, even when she's off screen, this fucking thing.
I know, one day.
Even when Beau's mother is off screen, she's overbearing, right?
You can feel her
presence. She's somehow always there.
Yeah.
She's emotionally manipulative to the extent, spoiler train rolling, she fakes her own death.
Holy shit.
To get Beau to come see her.
Yeah.
Like basically the plot is so simple, which I like a lot. He's supposed to go see her for the weekend. He supposedly loses his ticket, right? His plane ticket.
Yeah.
No.
He loses
his luggage or his keys.
And then he loses his luggage as well.
Whatever. Something happens and he can no longer fly to his mother's.
He has to wait around for the locksmith.
So he tells her, and she's like, "You know what? I can't believe this." And she like hangs up, and we literally don't hear from her again until the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. We hear that she's dead.
other than other than it being revealed. And Beau like basically almost doesn't go to see her until it's revealed that she's apparently dead.
Yeah.
You. This is why I like Ari Aster's movies. They have this like bizarre sense of humor. Apparently, she died because a chandelier fell on her head.
Yeah.
This is what she came up with. It's revealed this is what she came up with.
A very, very heavy chandelier.
And it's revealed not only that she came up with it, that someone actually had a chandelier fall on their head.
Yeah.
And it was who?
The maid.
It was the housekeeper. Had a chandelier actually fall on her head. So there's an actual woman's body in the casket with a decapitated body.
Yeah.
And it turns out it is not Beau's mother. It is actually the housekeeper. And Beau's mother is... So I would say, like, Ari Aster takes the overbearing mother thing as far as it can go.
Mm.
I don't think it could go any further.
Yeah.
Theoretically, right? She runs what is deemed like a super business. So there's also another thing that people have... That you kind of have to, like, get across in this... Like, you have to, like, sort of underscore in this movie. This is not reality. There's no real towns or cities in this movie. We don't really know what the city is that he's living in. We don't... The only town that we know of that they arrive at is called Wasserton, which is Beau's mother's... That's Beau's last name. Or Beau's mother... It's the town named after her, basically. Because he's Beau Wasserman, and she's... Mona Wasserman.
I didn't connect any of this. Holy cow.
She's Mona Wasserman, and so the town is called Wasserton.
Wild.
So she owns the town, or I don't know. It's named after her or her family. I think maybe it's named after her mother or her parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's like Beau's mother. We're going all over the place. But Beau's mother is played by Patti LuPone, I thought quite well.
Very well. I don't know the last time she was on camera.
Is basically a businesswoman. She's an overbearing mother, but she's also a businesswoman who runs what is called a super business, which I thought was a pretty great term that's sort of wedged into the story, which is presumably it's a pharmaceutical company that also owns real estate that has been turned into like rehabilitation centers for people who are hooked on pharmaceuticals. Yeah. It's like a multifaceted business that has monetized every aspect of pharmaceuticals. It's like the manufacturing of them, the distribution of them, the addiction to them,
the recovery,
like anything, any square inch of profit that it could sort of squeeze out of the concept of pharmaceuticals or the business. It's squeezing out. And so she's extremely wealthy. So Beau comes from wealth.
But he doesn't look like he lives in wealth.
No, he lives in squalor.
It makes you wonder, is his apartment actually what it looks like? Or is it just his perception?
Well, okay, that's a whole nother bag in this movie. This movie is so... The more you talk about it, the more it becomes a spider web.
Like, would the mother really allow her son to live in that? Not a chance.
Well, the suggestion is also that...
They're estranged?
That I think what he's living in is one of these rehabilitation facilities.
Yeah, but do you think they're really that shitty?
I know. So that's a whole other aspect of this movie is what is reality?
Yeah.
And it's almost like a dubious question to ask in this movie because everything feels like it's a false reality.
It does. And it's not because everything is unbelievable or everything is outside the realm of possibility. It's because, like, literally the first 45 minutes of the film are framed by such ridiculous things happening.
Yeah.
That it feels like Beau is just overreacting to, like, things that are... like, just not happening. They're like manifestations of his mind left and right.
For example, his luggage and keys getting stolen.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, is that real? Did he make that up?
In the middle of the night, someone's knocking on his door for him to turn the music off.
Yes. I totally forgot about this.
And, yeah, was the music actually him? And he uses it to drown out the neighbors? Or is the music somebody else And he is just so afraid that someone's going to try to attack him in the middle of the night that he's just making up someone knocking on his door. You know?
Crazy.
He also gets these letters under the door. And then, at another point in the film, he gets locked out of the apartment. And all the crazies downstairs, all the homeless people, all
Birthday
the
boy stab man.
junkies, birthday boy stabman, they all go into the apartment while he's stuck outside, destroy everything, holes in the wall, sleeping in the tubs, lighting the place on fire. And when he gets back up there, in his mind, the place is destroyed. Did it actually happen? I don't know. Crazy.
This movie is like if you're not, if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. But I mean, it's just fucking bonkers.
You have to walk into it being ready to let go of reality.
Yeah, and I think, you know what's another thing, Gabe, that I was actually driving home thinking about this. A part of the movie I completely forgot about, but it remembered sort of in the middle of the week.
The play?
No, not even that. The very opening. Do you remember what the very opening sequence was?
Isn't he sitting on his bed or something?
No. There's like there's like a cold open sort of thing.
The cold open, it's kind of foggy. Oh, it's when he's born.
Yes.
As a baby.
So
That's funny. When I saw that happening,
sequence.
I thought it was a birth before we realized it was a birth. I was like, these war sounds and this blotch of light, I think this is going to turn into some kind of like entrance of existence.
Yes.
And then as soon as I was like, that's exactly what this is.
So you quite literally see Beau
thrust into life.
thrust into the world, and then supposedly you see him perish.
Whoa,
And die.
You're right.
So you see the beginning and end of his life.
You also see some of his childhood.
Yes.
You know what? You do see this whole man's life because they go through the life in the play part.
Yes. So you quite literally see, and I think Ari Aster did say, like, I want this to feel like you live a whole person's life. And I think it achieves that.
You could also make the argument, fascinating, you're right, Dale. It's sick and twisted, though. You also see him become a man. Quote-unquote man, you know, is this true or not true? But the idea that, like, he
loses his virginity
with the woman.
50, whatever.
And meanwhile, simultaneously, he loses the love of his life at the same exact moment. What does that mean? He loses his virginity and the love of his life in the same exact moment. It's almost like he lived his entire life in those 2 minutes.
He lives his entire life in this journey, right, to go to his mom's house.
Yeah.
Like it becomes everything.
Which is tough because, you know, I use the word rapturous to Dale. Like, there's some kind of like biblical awe to this film, like what you're witnessing. But this is what's interesting is, like, you know, they often refer to the Old Testament and the Christian Bible as like a collection of the Jewish texts, right? And obviously there's things missing, but there is kind of like an Old Testament fury, you know,
yes.
AKA
she is God.
In many ways, yes. In so much as we were talking about it being a Jewish Lord of the Rings.
I think that's a great point, Gabe.
Yeah, there's like an Old Testament fury to the poetic, violent, ethically gray nature of the film. It's very
It's
fascinating.
I love that. I love the Old Testament parallel because I think that's in here. And his mother is God. So it's like, as far as he's concerned, she runs the world. She is the hand of God.
And he kills God at the end of the film.
Yes. Which leads to his own demise.
His own demise.
So at the end of the movie, he supposedly kills... We got,
Let's go.
Ari Aster would have a boner right now. He'd be stoked.
Ari, calm down, Ari. Go take a cold shower.
I saw him really interesting, though. Did you see the thing he had, like, did an interview, sort of, where he was like, I don't even really want to talk about this movie right now. Like, I feel like I need to talk about it in, like, 10 years.
Oh, fascinating.
Which it sounds pretentious when I say it out loud, but it's not, like, presented
It doesn't
that
sound
way.
pretentious. It just sounds
He's
like...
just sort of like, I don't know that I can even really say much about it now. Like, it needs to just exist and live, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he needs to be separate from it is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know, he was in it for so long. It finally was printed and released. Yeah.
Good for him, though, that, like, he's just on this role of
Havey's here, by the way.
Oh, okay.
No big deal.
We'll
keep going for another 15, 20, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I really like that Old Testament parallel, and I think she's God. And like the Old Testament, it's full of violence. It's full of wrongdoing against man against woman, woman against man,
Man against God.
man against God.
You know.
It's full of sort of like war in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure. The development of a nation trying to survive.
It's full of revenge. It has kind of everything. Because I'm thinking revenge. I'm thinking of the guy who's a veteran.
Yeah.
There's it's crazy to even talk about this. So much happens.
Yeah, and every character means something.
I thought it was. What did you think Amy Ryan's character was all about?
I didn't even tell you this.
What?
I'm at the restaurant the other day.
Oh, is she in there?
Amy Ryan?
Oh.
I'm at the restaurant the other day.
I was like, what?
And one of my coworkers is serving these two girls. And I thought one of them was kind of cute. And I mentioned it to him. And he's like, oh, come over and meet them. And I'm kind of like, don't blow up my spot and bring me over to the table.
Right.
You know?
Little juvenile.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? And anyway, I start chatting them up. It was nice because I'm not being like a weirdo. I'm just like, hey, what's up, LA? What's going on? How long you been in town? Cool. All right. TJ's got you. I'll be around. Bye.
Good to see you.
And as they were leaving, TJ mentioned that I was like, yeah, that blonde girl was kind of cute. And he's like, yeah, her name's Kylie. I was like, what?
Jenner?
She's the one who plays the daughter in the film. And Beau is afraid. 3 days after I saw this film, didn't know this person existed.
Oh, wow.
This random-ass 19-year-old girl is
she's great. Yeah.
It's just wild. And she's so talented. She was really good. But it was just so weird that I was like, oh, you're in that film. And
what do you think her character is all about? We're going to have like a part 2 of this pod.
What I could say, we don't have to have a part 2. Oh,
no, I just mean like when we've developed more. It's just like such a...
You could make the argument, at the very least, she exemplifies another character who, if we want to keep the God theme going, or at least the parent-child relationship going, you can make the argument that she rebels differently. Beau is passive. She's not.
Aggressive.
Yeah. She really fights back with her parents to the degree that she would happily commit suicide to get the attention of her parents. Happily is not the right word.
And Beau could maybe never even conceive of such a thing.
No. Because he knows... I think he, doesn't want to find out what's on the other side.
She supposedly does. That's another thing. Does any of this really happen? It's like a dubious question.
Well, that's what's tough is I feel inclined to believe that, yes, that stuff does kind of happen.
No, but I mean... I don't even know if it matters. Like this idea of like, did it really happen? Is like almost like trying to take it to this objective place.
Where the film is not meant to be interpreted.
And the film
like
just
that.
doesn't live there. It lives in his subjectivity. So if he thinks it happened, if you want to think of it that way.
Okay.
That's kind of how the movie seems to work.
Yeah.
Right? If he kills his mom, like strangles her, that seems like that happened.
Yeah. But there's part of me that's
whether or not he even left his apartment is like another question to me.
But I do want... Okay, interesting.
Like, did he even leave his apartment? I have literally no idea. I'd have to go back and watch the movie.
But I do wonder if there's like moments of sobriety, lucidity throughout the film.
Yeah.
Like every time people might get mad at him or something, where it's like, oh, you did something.
What do you think those moments of lucidity and sobriety are?
Well, for instance, one of them is like when the mother runs in and the daughter's dead and his name's on the wall. Did he paint the wall? Did he kill the daughter? You know what I'm saying? In some kind of like plea to get out of the house. You know? Is there another moment like that?
Do you? What's so interesting about his stay at that place is he doesn't feel safe or at home there necessarily.
He doesn't.
And it's not this like traditional refuge from the storm sort of.
The parents are kind of weird though.
That's the thing is also what is Amy Ryan's character about? What is Nathan Lane's character about?
Yeah, that part of the film.
It's my least. I have to say my least favorite.
Ari Aster took a lot of creative liberties in this film. This was a sequence of creative liberties that I think lacked grounding And I'm not saying the film needs grounding, because in many ways the film has zero grounding whatsoever. But every sequence character more or less is set up with a premise or a purpose. And there's just something about when Beau is thrust into Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan's world, you just don't know where these people came from. Like, we
who are they in relation?
Yeah, we're
to him?
told we were given reasons. I'm just not quick to buy them. Which maybe that's the point.
I don't
maybe
know.
there are more people just taking advantage of him. Maybe they represent the parents that he always wanted, and he still can't accept them. Because they just adore him so much. And he rejects them by the end of it.
I mean, they adore him more than their own daughter.
Yeah.
In a strange way.
Yeah. But
Dude,
also, that part of that
movie.
whole sequence is that the mother is trying to tell Beau that they're being recorded by Nathan. Like, what the fuck is all that?
Wait, that's what that was about?
Remember the camera was on the TV? And she's whispering to him? So Nathan doesn't hear it? Roger doesn't hear it?
I thought... Oh, that's what you thought that was?
That's what I experienced.
I experienced it as it's part of... They're part of, like, the conspiracy with his mother.
Oh,
And that's his mother recording him.
Whoa.
Something like that.
That didn't even occur to me.
Because later on, there's
So
images
it's like
from their house at her house.
Images?
At his mother's house, I believe.
So it's like they were hired to help her.
Yes. They were hired to, like, run him over with the truck and all this
and
stuff.
then pull him. Oh, my goodness. That I believe.
Yes.
Which is crazy because that also means that feels that much more real.
Yes. I didn't think that Nathan Lane, there was anything sort of sinister going on with his character. I think he's just sort of this... I think he's a little bit of comedic relief in a lot of ways.
Nathan's hilarious.
Not even a little bit.
He's so good.
I'd be curious on, like, I'm definitely going to watch this movie again. And
You know what's wild? I looked up Nathan Lane.
I'm curious, like, what that character is, if I pick up anything. But
I looked up Nathan Lane in The Lion King, just briefly as an aside. I never put it together that Matthew Broderick plays Simba in The Lion King.
Oh.
Does that feel weird at all?
Explain why that's weird.
I don't know. Matthew Broderick playing Simba never occurred to me. I see Ferris Bueller, whatever other stuff I've seen him in. It's just, I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
I thought that was kind of a funny revelation.
Is Nathan Lane in The Lion King?
Yeah, he plays Timon.
Nathan Lane?
Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna wrap this thing up soon, but because it's just this movie's nutty.
It really is nutty, and admittedly, as the film progressed, I was feeling more and more alienated by it.
Which, by the way, is when my heart starts to sort of flutter.
Yeah, and so Colin, I explained to Colin that this film gives me a sort of the Daniels Everything Everywhere kind of vibe in terms of structure and the way relationships unravel and then kind of rearrange, and eventually we're led to a climax. Very different endings, Everything Everywhere has a beautiful resolution, and this film has a very you could say dark ending. And so I don't know, the longer the film got, the more I was just like, what is going on, and do I care? I care because Joaquin Phoenix is great. I care because so much fun to watch every frame. Every frame clearly has so much work put into the composition. I love that. I love it.
The entire world felt fully built out to me, which I loved.
Overwhelmingly.
Like, to a sort of, like, really neurotic.
I could watch it multiple times and find something new. Like, I could turn the audio off and see something new every time.
That's why I can't wait to watch it again, just to pick up on all those little details that I didn't get the first time.
But yeah, so when the film was over, I felt like Dale was ready to, like, jump up and clap and throw his Reese's Pieces in the air.
I loved how half the theater pretty packed theater at Century City.
Yeah, I think out of
Well, should we tell
80
people
seats.
we went in? We had a false start with this thing.
Oh my goodness!
We went into a theater, and Gabe and I went into the IMAX screening at Century City.
By the way, with
we were 5 minutes late.
with like candy,
Yes.
and Chick-fil-A stuffed in our pockets.
Well, I had wolfed down a burger on the way in. It was very chaotic.
It was very chaotic.
We walk in about 5 minutes late, so I'm already disoriented because I'm like, I wanted to see every frame of this movie, and now I haven't. We were also sitting second row at the IMAX. I mean, it was unwatchable from the
I
second
couldn't believe
row.
it. The angle was so weird.
They're really that's fucked up that they even have those rows there
that
because
real
you
estate
cannot
exists.
watch a movie that way.
No, you cannot.
And so Gabe and I reset. We got a refund. We got tickets like half an hour later.
New
Went to the 8
tickets.
p.m. Pretty packed theater.
Just a digital screening too.
Just regular, schmegular. I think I would want to see it IMAX next time because I want the speakers to be booming.
Ooh.
I don't even really care about the screen. I care about the sound. Honest to God, like I sound in movies is one of my favorite. It's my favorite. One of my favorite parts of the theatrical experience. Like and pretty packed theater. Half the theater, as soon as that written and directed by Ari Aster thing rolled up, half of them were out of there.
They ran.
Out.
They're like this.
And
is
you know what they're
horrible.
thinking. They're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
This was it.
And the other half was like sitting around.
Still.
Like us, we watched all the credits and everything, right?
In
I think we
awe.
watched literally. I think we watched the entire thing.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think we watched literally until the screen went fully black, and yeah. So I think half of the audience was really contemplating it, either really enjoyed it or like was really like thinking on it, and the other half was I think furious. And that's art to me. That's when the movie was artfully done in some manner. In my opinion, this is how I think of things.
For sure.
And I love that. I love people throwing tomatoes and then other people saying the people throwing tomatoes are assholes, and I love that. So I'm really curious to see how this movie is received in this coming weekend. I'm sure Ari Aster's like throwing up. Probably doesn't like that's a tough.
Nah.
I just think that I don't know.
He's gonna make money. It's gonna make
It's a
money.
risky movie though.
He's got A24 behind him. He's already has 2 films that are well done.
Yeah, and apparently
And-
another one.
Yeah, I mean,
in
come
the
on.
kitchen, so.
Yeah, the guy will be fine. Not to diminish his like fears or
So I'm just thinking from if I were him,
anxieties.
I'd be like, I just think that's. But I think so far the reviews and reception have been pretty positive.
Yeah.
This does not feel like a movie that wins the hearts of audiences right away. I don't think that's how this movie works.
They don't win my heart right away.
I just don't think that's how this movie works. I think for the people who there's gonna be people who are like, I would never want to watch that again ever. Cool. There's gonna be some people who go, I want to see that again, and I think it'll take time to sort of fester and for people to come up with fan theories about it and think on what it means, and at the very least it's a really bold. I'm thinking more from this perspective of someone who maybe didn't enjoy it. It's a really bold artistic effort. There are not that many of those coming out these days.
You are right about that.
I put Everything Everywhere in that category. Like, there's not that many bold artistic, full-blown artistic efforts coming out in theaters these days.
Yeah.
So you got to give it up for that. The casting, I love the cast. I really like this movie. I would say I love this movie. I probably will love it on the second watch. I would say I really liked it on the first watch. Do I like it more than Hereditary? We rewatched Hereditary the other night.
Watched it.
I do like it way more than Hereditary. Hereditary on a rewatch is really morose. I'd still love Hereditary, but Hereditary is so simple in a way that I found it like it's so watching Beau is Afraid and seeing what Ari Aster is fully capable of.
I feel like that's
Hereditary feels more. If it were on a spectrum, it's like a little more rudimentary, which
I
that's
think it's
my
like
take.
calling the Mona Lisa simple. Meaning that if
Are you saying it's the Hereditary is the Mona Lisa?
I'm saying if Hereditary is a Mona Lisa, then Beau's
that's
Afraid is like the Vatican, is like the
Sistine.
Sistine Chapel. You know,
Very fair.
That said, Hereditary
Hereditary is not at all lacking in technique
no
or style
and structure
or confidence in the direction,
character revelation,
performances.
yeah, theme.
It's Hereditary. No, Hereditary is a strong,
Literally,
strong
practical
movie.
effects are fantastic too.
I think you're gonna watch I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on Midsummer. It's Midsummer is a hybrid between the tone of Hereditary and Beau's Afraid. It's something in between.
Okay.
But you can tell with Midsummer he was heading in the direction that Beau's Afraid is fully heading in, which is like people call it like black comedy or whatever you want to call it, like just dark. He calls it like a nightmare comedy or something like that, which like makes a lot of sense to me. It's fully nightmarish, but you're laughing pretty much the entire time. It's a really unique movie. I don't know that there's
hold this real quick.
We'll be right back, and we'll finish this thing up. Movie Annex Podcast. We're back. What's up? We're back now. We weren't back before. Movie Addicts Podcast.
Wanted to make a comment on that.
Yeah, go for it, Gabe.
Ari Aster, I think, has specifically set himself up to be very successful in the horror genre with comedic undertones, because currently, and this is part of just revealing my weakness as a film viewer, cinephile, in training, so to speak.
Yes.
But Ari Aster shoots a lot of wide shots.
Yeah.
And he holds a lot of his shots for a very long time, which is very similar to what other genre?
Horror.
And
comedy.
And so that's why I think lot of...
That's a great goddamn point.
And so I think, unlike...
That's why you're getting paid more than me for this podcast.
Yeah, so much more. That's why I think, in comparison, Jordan Peele, I think, succeeds in the horror comedy space because of his use of rhythm and his strength of dialogue, and like creating ironic situations. Like, he's just so good at that. But Ari Aster, it feels like watching like almost like old school film or TV, old school horror that's just wide, and there's things in the background, in the foreground that are of equal importance, and then just surprisingly these jokes emerge that are both physical and thematic at the same time. It's, I don't know, I think it's pretty
dare
cool.
I say pretty artful shit right there.
Very artful shit.
I think Gabe just made pretty much the slam dunk note of the night.
Got you, baby.
That's pretty great shit right there. That's what the Movie Addicts Podcast is all about.
I'm hoping that he will make more horrors that are even funnier, because I think he has it in him, and he currently chooses to... You used a great word before. You said morose for Hereditary. I think he loves making the choice to go to the dark place. But I think in the future, if he goes funnier, he can go even darker. I think you can only get so dark when the majority of the film revolves around a certain amount of darkness. But I think if he ups the funny, he can go even darker.
I think he can up the funny big time.
Yeah.
I just think he can make
'cause he's
stuff
funny.
He is funny.
He's really funny. There's
I think
no
he has
accident in any of his jokes.
I think
like,
he has
well
a great
executed.
sense of humor, like a strange sense of humor, but I think I think the jokes in this movie are really funny.
The UPS part was fantastic.
Or
like when the daughter was screaming about
things.
the paint. That was so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Even the little things, even like Bill Hader being like, I smelled the smell and that's why I went in there. Right? Like, even that is like such a dumb little like brief moment, but it's really funny.
Well, it's so grounded in reality.
We also can't believe there's also an element of like, wait, is that Bill Hader?
Also true.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what? It's hilarious that Bill Hader was in this movie for like quite literally 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not even convinced, by the way, that it's him on the phone.
I don't know. It has to be.
Dude, I'm telling you, I want to rewatch.
There would be no
the voice
need,
on the phone is not Bill Hader's voice.
But there would be no need. I agree with you. I don't remember it sounding like Bill Hader, but there would be no need to have the voice on the phone as a UPS delivery and the person interviewed on TV as a UPS deliverer. There would be no need for them to have the same job.
There's something afoot there, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it on that second watch. I'm gonna see what's going on.
So baby, cock up or lock up?
This thing, for me, is a lock up. What about for you?
I kind of want to run with my gut instinct that it's a cock up. It feels inauthentic and untrue. I don't think it's a lockup because I don't know how many more times I want to watch it. It's funny because now I do kind of want to watch it again just to enjoy the art of it and the craft. I don't really want to call it a clock up because I feel like that's just kind of copping out. Maybe that's like not fair. My first instinct was it was a cock up because I was just like, what was the point? You know, and so I guess what it comes down to, I'm gonna have to call it a clock up because it's a cock up for me in so much as I don't know how much the film is like sitting with me days after. Like Colin was like every other day, just like
I was thinking about it
Gabe,
today.
I thought about this, and I'm just like, I haven't thought about it at all.
It's just one of these movies that just sticks with me, and I'm just in the shower and I'm like, oh wow, I remember different things. And
meanwhile, though, so like so is it really sticking with me? No. Do I really want to watch it again because of like the thrill I got? No. I want to watch it because I feel like there's a lot of craft and technique, and that I can appreciate. So
right.
Ari Aster, gold star for effort and craft, but I will not be, returning necessarily for the thrill. Although I don't know, Birthday Boy Stab Man is very thrilling.
Shout out to Birthday Boy Stab Man before we sign off on this podcast. Like, great character. Like, that's
arguably
the shit
the
where
best
I knew I was
character.
in for a great time.
Yeah.
Personally, when Birthday Boy Stab, I was like, oh, this is where we're taking it. Because it's so juvenile. It's such a dumb. It really reminds me of like early 2000s like comedies.
Yeah.
Of where they were willing to take it. And that's another thing is I've seen so many movies recently where people are laughing and I'm like, I just think these jokes are just fucking lame.
Yeah.
And this movie went full 360 degree swings on these jokes.
Yeah.
And when they land, they really land. And I think that's the kind of shit that I love.
Yeah.
It just gets my heart pumping. I don't want any light. I don't want like ballet dance kind of jokes. I want you to fucking smash through the floorboards with these jokes. Like, I don't want you know what I mean? It really reminded me of like these early 2000s comedies where they would just throw out these crazy sort of things offhand.
Yeah.
And I think like Birthday Boy Stab Man, and you're what? Birthday Boy Stab Man, and then you like it pays off, right? Because you see him.
It's something that like if you were watching in your living room, you would immediately pause it and rewind it and watch it again. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm super torn. I have reasons I love the film, and I have reasons I just don't care. And there's a part of me that kind of hates certain parts too. I don't know how to describe it.
Listen, Gabe, that's fair.
Well, the point is that he got that reaction out of me, I think is worthy of a cock-up,
Absolutely.
But
so for me, it's an absolute lock-up. Go see it and form an opinion. Don't be a coward.
After we gave you all the spoils for the whole film.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Hopefully you already saw it. Well, we gotta go downstairs. We gotta play some Resident Evil and
crush
hang with the fellas. And
yeah, boyo.
Oh man. Hey, this has been. Who are you?
This has been the Movie Addicts Podcast.
Who are you though?
I'm Gabe.
I'm Colin. Or I'm Dale. And this is the Movie Addicts Podcast.
Crushed it.
And are we posting this on a Monday? We don't know.
We'll see.
Hope you had a good day.
Yeah.
Whenever you're listening to this.
That's it, baby.
And that's the podcast.
TTYL.